Guten Tag alle, Herr Wallis here. Today we're going to compare the German and English tenses so that you can see a little bit of, or begin hopefully to get an overview of how the tenses and how verbs differ and their use between English and German. So let's just go through the basic six tenses that we're going to talk about today. In English, the present tense, or in German, Präsens. The perfect past tense, sometimes also in English referred to as the present perfect tense. In German, it's called the Perfekt. The imperfect past tense, in German called the Imperfekt, or also referred to with the word Präteritum. Okay, you have the pluperfect in English, and German is called the Plusquamperfekt. You have the regular future tense, also in German called the Futur. And then in English we call it the future perfect tense, but in German they call it Futur 2. Okay, so let's take these one at a time. The present tense is, of course, the tense of now. The main problem for English speakers is that German has only one present tense and English has three. For example, if we take the German sentence, Ich esse einen Hamburger, in English, this could mean I eat a hamburger, which is the present tense in English, or it could also mean you are in the active, so I am eating a hamburger. In English, we call this the present progressive. Or it can also, even in English, be related with the sentence I do eat a hamburger. Okay, the perfect tense, sometimes also, like I mentioned before, referred to in English as the present perfect. This is the tense of the recent past, and the problem again is that German has only one form, but English has four. So, for example, using our sentence in this tense, Ich habe einen Hamburger gegessen, you're going to have a helping verb in German and in English, have, and then in English and German you're going to have the past participle. The difference is that in German this past participle is located at the end of the sentence, so as in this case, Ich habe einen Hamburger gegessen, whereas if we were to write this sentence in English, I have eaten a hamburger, you can see that the verb eaten is right beside the helping verb. So it's a difference in word order as well. But English, you can also, because English has that present progressive, it also has a past form of that. I was eating a hamburger, I did eat a hamburger, or even I have been eating a hamburger. So there's a lot of different ways to relate this tense in English. The imperfect tense, or in German referred to also as the Präteritum or Imperfekt, this tense is also a tense relating the recent past. In both languages, it's a shorter form. In English, this is formed a lot of times by simply adding an ed, like learned German. Yet in German, like in the previous tenses, there's only one form and English has three. And one other important thing to make mention of here is that German uses this tense less in spoken language, with the exception of the verbs haben und sein, which you often hear in the imperfect tense, and also a lot of times the modal verbs in German. But in speaking, Germans prefer to use what we in English would call the present perfect tense to relate those events, whereas this tense, the imperfect tense, is more written. So in newspaper articles or in papers relating things that have happened in the recent past. So for example, ich aß einen Hamburger. In English, this could mean I ate a hamburger, I did eat a hamburger, or I was eating a hamburger. Okay, the pluperfect in English, called the Plusquamperfekt in German. Sometimes in English you also hear this referred to as the past perfect tense. This is for actions further back in the past. And once more, German has only one form, Ich hatte einen Hamburger gegessen. It can also, in the perfect tenses, whether it be the perfect or the Plusquamperfekt, in German they have two potential helping verbs, where in English we always use have as the helping verb. In English sometimes you use the verb sein, and for more information on that, I would suggest you watch our videos on helping verb haben resign and how to tell the difference. Okay, so in English we can relate this sentence by saying I had eaten a hamburger or I had been eating a hamburger. Okay, the future tense. This is the tense of things which have not happened yet, obviously. And German has, you guessed it, one form, whereas English, well, we have two. Sometimes in English, an older form of English might use the word shall, and occasionally you still hear this in English, but much more common is I will eat a hamburger, or I will be eating a hamburger. In German, the future tense is formed with a conjugation of the verb werden, and then the infinitive form of the other verb located at the end of the sentence or clause. So in this case, ich werde einen Hamburger essen. Whereas in English, again, the word order is different. The will is immediately followed by the secondary verb, which is eat. One other thing to make mention here, in German, it is possible to refer to future events using the present tense, basically. And it's basically from context that you infer this as a future event, but this is something to be aware of. Okay, so the final tense we're going to compare here in English and German is the future perfect tense, or in German called the Futur 2. This is the tense of things which have not yet happened, but whose completion you can more or less confidently predict. Again, German has one form. Ich werde einen Hamburger gegessen haben, which in English would mean I will or shall have eaten a hamburger. I will have been eating a hamburger. And this is a reflection, again, of that variation from the present tense, because that's kind of mirrored in all these tenses that follow. This is why in English you have perhaps more ways of saying things than you do, in the different tenses in German. So that is basically it. Ich hoffe, dass das alles euch geholfen hat. I hope that helped you, at least to have a greater understanding and appreciation on whether you're German or American, on how the two tenses and how the two languages compare. Okay, vielen Dank und auf Wiedersehen.